Libra, before you scroll, pause for 1 second. Because if you've been feeling tired without knowing why, if you've been smiling on the outside while something quietly ended on the inside, this message is for you. Libra, a chapter of your life didn't fade by accident. It closed because your soul outgrew it. And 2026 is not here to fix what broke. It's here to open a door you were never meant to force. Some of you already feel it, that strange mix of relief and fear. Because letting go feels risky, even when staying hurts more. Take a breath. You're not losing anything real. You're standing at a threshold, and what's about to step into your life is softer, stronger, and more aligned than anything you're leaving behind. Stay with me. Trust yourself, and tell me in the comments, do you feel that door opening too? All right, stay with me, Libra. I want you to imagine this as if it's just you and me right now. No audience, no noise, just a quiet space where you can finally breathe, because something ended for you, and not loudly, not with a dramatic goodbye. It ended the way some chapters do, slowly, silently. While you were still showing up, still trying, still hoping it would feel different. You didn't fail. You didn't quit too soon. You stayed longer than most people would have, and that matters. But 2025 asked something hard of you, Libra. It asked you to smile when your energy was drained, to be the peacemaker while your own heart was exhausted, to hold balance for others, while quietly losing it inside. There were nights you didn't talk about, moments when you felt alone even in familiar rooms, times you questioned yourself. Not because you were weak, but because you cared deeply. And here's the truth. No one said out loud to you, that season wasn't meant to be comfortable. It was meant to complete something. The universe didn't take things from you to punish you. It removed what you kept trying to control. Because control was never where your power lived. Your power lives in discernment, in knowing when something has reached its natural ending, in having the courage to stop watering what can no longer grow. You may still feel the pull of the past, that familiar weight, that voice that says, maybe if I hold on a little longer. But listen carefully. If you keep standing with one foot behind you, you'll feel the doorway ahead, but you won't step through it. And this is why I needed you to pause. This is why the message said, don't scroll. Because you are standing in a very specific moment, a threshold moment. You're not being asked to rush. You're not being pushed forward. You're simply being invited to loosen your grip, to trust that what's leaving your hands is making room for something that fits your soul better. I know that scares you, because balance is your nature, and endings disrupt balance before they restore it. But here's something beautiful. You're not walking away empty. You're walking away lighter. And in that lightness, Libra, your intuition is sharpening. Your awareness is widening. Your connection to something greater than logic is beginning to speak louder. That quiet feeling you've had lately. The sense that something is aligning behind the scenes. That's not imagination. It's preparation. You didn't arrive here by accident. And you're not being left without guidance. So take one slow breath with me. Just one. And as you do, notice how the air feels different now. Like something is opening. Like the story isn't ending. It's simply turning its page. And in the next moment, we're going to talk about what's been following you quietly, the signs you may have overlooked, and why this doorway opening in 2026 is responding to a shift you already made inside. Stay right here. You're exactly where you need to be. All right, stay right here with me, Libra. Because now that you've loosened your grip on what was ending, something else begins to move. Quietly, almost respectfully. like a door that doesn't slam open but unlocks itself when you're finally ready to notice it. 2026 isn't arriving to fix you. You were never broken. And it's not coming to patch the past, or rewind mistakes, or correct who you used to be. This year feels different because it isn't about repair. It's about access. A door is opening for you, Libra, not in one narrow place, not in one single area of life, but across everything that matters to you as a whole human being. You may already feel it. That subtle widening in your chest. That sense that your emotions are no longer fighting each other, but beginning to speak the same language. Your heart is softer now, not weaker. Softer in a way that lets truth pass through without tearing you apart. Your spirit feels closer too, not in a religious sense, but in that quiet knowing, that inner compass you stopped doubting. You don't need signs shouted at you anymore. You recognize alignment by how calm your body feels. And the relationships around you, they're shifting without drama. Some gently fading, others stepping closer. Not because you chased them, but because you stopped betraying yourself to keep the peace. Even the way you think about your work, your direction, your sense of purpose, it's changing shape. You're no longer asking, what should I do? You're asking, what feels honest? And that question carries a different kind of power. Finances, security, stability. They're part of this too, but not in the old anxious way. Not through pressure or survival mode. This door opens because you've changed how you value yourself. Because you stopped measuring your worth by how much you give away. Because you finally understood that balance includes you. And here's the part I want you to hear clearly. You are not stepping into this new year by luck. You're stepping into it as someone who lived through the lesson. Every boundary you learned to hold. Every goodbye you didn't announce. Every moment you chose silence over explanation. That's what unlocked this. The universe responds to identity. Libra, not effort, not struggle, identity. And you are no longer the person who waits to be chosen. You are the one who recognizes the door when it appears. That's why things may start to line up without force. Why answers come when you stop chasing them. Why opportunities feel lighter instead of urgent. You didn't arrive here by accident. You arrived because you became someone who could walk through. So as you stand here now, at this quiet threshold, notice how your body isn't bracing anymore. It's leaning forward, curious, open. And in that openness, something else is already revealing itself. Subtle signs, repeating moments, numbers, feelings you can't explain, but trust anyway. That's where we're going next. Not to predict your future, but to show you the proof that this door didn't just appear. It's been responding to you all along. Stay close. We're just beginning to see it clearly. All right, come a little closer, Libra, because this part isn't loud. It doesn't arrive with fireworks. It shows up the way truth usually does for you. Quietly, repeatedly, until you finally stop brushing it aside. Have you noticed it yet? That number that keeps finding you. On a clock you weren't checking. On a receipt you didn't care about. On a screen you almost scrolled past. 11. Not once, not twice, but enough times to make you pause. Enough times to feel that soft pressure in your chest that says, pay attention. This isn't superstition, and it isn't coincidence. For someone like you, Libra, signs don't need to shout. They repeat. Because repetition is how the universe speaks to a mind that listens. 11 is not about luck. It's about alignment. About the moment when who you are becoming finally matches what you've been asking for. And here's the part most people miss. Manifestation doesn't begin when you want something badly enough. It begins when you stop fighting yourself. Lately, you've been different. You react less. You observe more. You don't rush to fix, explain, or defend the way you used to. That's not detachment. That's clarity. You're no longer living inside emotional chaos. You're responding from a steadier place. A place that doesn't need immediate answers to feel safe. And that shift inside you, it changes everything. Because the universe doesn't respond to words. It responds to state. When you move from survival into awareness, from noise into presence, from forcing into trust, the outside world begins to mirror that calm. That's the law at work here. Inside first, then out. You didn't wake up one morning and decide to be more connected. It happened naturally as you stopped abandoning yourself. You started listening to that quiet inner voice again. The one you ignored when balance meant pleasing everyone else. The one that knows when to step forward and when to let things come to you. And this is why you're here right now, watching this, feeling that subtle yes in your body. Not because fate dragged you here, but because you reached a crossing point, a moment where your old reactions no longer fit and your new awareness needs confirmation. That confirmation doesn't come as a promise. It comes as recognition. You see patterns now. You feel timing instead of chasing it. You trust pauses instead of fearing them. And when 11 appears, it's not telling you what will happen. It's reflecting who you've become. Someone who can hold intention without obsession. Someone who can wait without doubting themselves. Someone who understands that real power doesn't rush. So if you've been sensing that things are lining up quietly, that you're being guided without being pushed, that answers are forming before questions are spoken, you're not imagining it. You're standing in alignment, and alignment always leaves traces, little signals, gentle nudges. Moments that feel oddly personal. That's why this doesn't feel like a message for everyone. It feels like it found you. And as we move forward, those signals begin to sharpen. They take on form. They ask something of you. Not effort, not struggle, but a choice. And that choice, it's already rising to the surface. Let's stay with it. Because what's coming next is about the strength you didn't know you were ready to claim. All right? Stay with me, Libra. Because once you recognize alignment, something else begins to wake up inside you. Not loudly, not dramatically, but with a steady heat. Like embers that have been glowing for a long time and finally catch. This is where willpower comes in. Not the kind that forces outcomes. Not the kind that pushes against life. But the quiet strength that knows when to stand firm without raising its voice. You may have noticed it recently. That moment when you didn't explain yourself. When you didn't rush to smooth things over. When you chose stillness instead of compromise. That wasn't indifference. That was resolve. For a long time, you were afraid of disappointing people. Not because you lacked courage, but because harmony mattered to you. Peace mattered to you. And you believed keeping the balance meant carrying the weight. But something shifted. You started to understand that avoiding conflict was costing you your truth. That constantly adjusting yourself was quietly erasing parts of you. And so, without announcing it, you stepped out of that version. The one who said yes when their body said no. The one who absorbed tension just to keep things calm. The one who mistook endurance for love. That version did its job. It protected you until you were strong enough to choose differently. Now, something else is guiding you. A firmness that feels grounded. A courage that doesn't need approval. A decisiveness that arrives calmly, without urgency or fear. This is not about becoming hard. It's about becoming clear. When the angels speak of willpower for you, they're not talking about effort. They're talking about direction. You know where you're headed now. even if you can't explain it yet. Even if the path is still forming beneath your feet. And because you know, you stop hesitating. You stop second-guessing the feelings that arrive quietly, but refuse to leave. You trust yourself enough to choose before doubt has time to interrupt. That's what 2026 marks for you, Libra. Not a year where everything is decided for you, but a year where you finally decide for yourself. You are no longer living as a reaction to other people's needs. You are no longer waiting for permission to take up space. You are no longer shrinking to preserve balance. You are becoming the balance. And that changes how life responds to you. Because when your will aligns with your values, when your courage matches your intuition, when your decisions come from truth instead of fear, the world meets you differently. Doors don't resist you. People don't confuse you. Opportunities don't feel overwhelming. They recognize you. You may still feel moments of uncertainty. That's human, but notice how you move through them now. With less panic, with more trust, with a steadiness that wasn't there before. That steadiness, it's your proof. You didn't suddenly become fearless. You became loyal to yourself. And loyalty like that creates momentum. As we move forward, you'll begin to see how this strength affects the connections around you. Who stays? Who steps closer? Who fades when you stop carrying them? It won't feel like loss. It will feel like clarity. So stay present with this energy. Let it settle into your body, into your breath, into the way you hold yourself. Because the next layer of this story is not about what you do alone. It's about who meets you now that you're standing fully in your own center. And that is where things become truly interesting. All right, let me slow this down with you, Libra. Because once you stand firmly in your own center, life starts answering you through people. Not many, not loudly, but precisely. You may have already felt this shift, a quiet recalibration in your connections, like the air in a room changing before anyone speaks. There is someone in your life now, or someone stepping closer who does not pull at you. They do not demand explanations. They do not make you feel smaller to keep the peace. With them, silence is not awkward. It is comfortable, restful, like sitting near water and letting your thoughts settle on their own. This is what real balance feels like for you. Not effort, not compromise that costs you your breath, but an exchange that leaves you more yourself. You do not have to perform here. You do not have to adjust your tone or soften your truth or carry their emotional weight to keep harmony alive. They understand you without interrogation. They listen without trying to fix you. They offer calm instead of control. And here's the part that matters most. They need you too. Not in a way that drains you. Not in a way that traps you. But in the way two steady forces support each other without leaning too hard. You may sense it already. A subtle request beneath the surface. Not spoken, but felt. Your presence matters to them. Your light steadies them. Your honesty grounds them. This is not about saving anyone. It is about showing up without losing yourself. For a long time, you gave your energy to the wrong places. You tried to balance situations that were never meant to be equal. You poured care into people who took without seeing you. That chapter taught you discernment. And now, 2026 asks you to use it. You are no longer here to give endlessly. You are here to invest wisely. To choose connection that feels mutual in your body. That does not tighten your chest. That does not leave you exhausted afterward. This is what changes now. You stop explaining your boundaries. You stop justifying your needs. You let actions reveal who belongs. And what remains is not less. It is truer. The bond that stays with you feels steady over time. It deepens quietly. It grows stronger without drama. It brings peace to your nervous system. And peace for you is the highest form of love. Notice how different that feels. No rush, no fear of loss, just a calm knowing. This is not a coincidence. It is a response. Life is meeting you at the level of balance you finally chose. And as you honor this connection as you give from fullness instead of depletion, something else begins to open. A wider sense of purpose. A softer confidence in where you are headed. A feeling that what you carry inside has value beyond survival. That value, it wants expression. So stay with this feeling. Let it settle into your chest, into your breath, into the way you move through the world now. Because the next part of this journey is not only about who walks beside you, it is about what begins to move through you. What wants to be shared, what wants to become something real. And when you are ready, we will step into that light together. All right, let's stay right here, Libra. Because once you feel balanced in your connections, something softer begins to surface. Something that was never meant to stay hidden forever. You've always felt it. That quiet sensitivity. The way you notice shifts in a room before anyone speaks. The way you sense when someone is holding pain behind a calm face. You never learned this. You carried it. For most of your life, you thought it was just part of who you were. A personality trait. A way of caring too much. But it's more than that. It's a light. Not the kind that blinds. The kind that warms. The kind people lean toward without knowing why. You calm others simply by being present. Your voice slows the pace. Your honesty gives people permission to breathe. And when you speak from the heart, something inside others begins to settle. For a long time, you offered this quietly, in conversations, in late-night messages, in moments where no one was watching. You gave comfort without asking for recognition. You healed without calling it healing. And there was a reason it stayed that way for a while. You weren't meant to turn this into a role too soon. You needed to understand it first, to live through your own darkness, to learn what it feels like to lose balance and find it again from the inside. That journey shaped you. Now, something changes. What once felt like a private gift begins to ask for expression, not loudly, not dramatically, but persistently. You may feel pulled back towards something you left behind. A creative outlet. Music. Art. Writing. Something that once made time disappear. Something you stopped because life demanded practicality, or because you doubted it could matter. That pull is not nostalgia. It's alignment. This is where your light wants a path, a direction, a way to move through the world. At first, you won't think about money. That's not how this begins for you. It begins with meaning, with resonance, with the simple truth that what flows through you is meant to be shared. And when you honor that, when you let yourself show up without shrinking, the universe responds in its own way. Not by rushing rewards, but by opening doors that support you, by meeting your sincerity with sustenance, by allowing what you offer to sustain you in return. This is not selling your soul. This is aligning your livelihood with your essence. You are not here to struggle endlessly. You are here to contribute. And contribution does not require self-sacrifice. It requires presence. When you stop treating your light as something extra and begin honoring it as part of your purpose, life adjusts around you. You feel steadier, more at ease in your own skin, less divided between who you are and what you do. And there's relief in that. A deep one. Because you were never meant to choose between survival and soul. You were meant to integrate them. As you step into this awareness, notice how your confidence softens, how your fear loosens its grip, How possibility feels closer now, not as pressure, but as invitation. Something is preparing to move forward through you. Something practical. Something real. Something that touches others without costing you yourself. And as that current begins to form, you'll see how life starts arranging support around it. Unexpected opportunities, gentle openings, a sense that you are finally being met. We'll follow that next. Because once your light finds its path, the world answers in ways you never had to force. Stay with me. You're moving exactly where you're meant to go. All right, let's stay right inside this moment, Libra. Because when your light finds a path, life responds in waves. Not all at once, but one opening touching another. Like dominoes falling in the gentlest way. You may already feel it beginning. That quiet sense of relief around money. Not excitement, not urgency. Relief. For a long time, finances felt heavy for you. Tied to responsibility. To obligation. To doing what made sense instead of what felt right. But 2026 carries a different tone. Stability doesn't arrive through pressure. It arrives through alignment. You start to notice things working without strain. Bills handled with less anxiety. Decisions made without that tight feeling in your chest. Projects that once felt stuck suddenly gaining movement. Not because you pushed harder, but because the resistance lifted. Opportunities appear quietly. Through conversations that feel natural. Through ideas that return with better timing. Through doors you didn't knock on, but recognize when they open. This is how your blessings move now. In sequence. One yes leading to another. One solved problem creating space for the next solution. But there is something important I need you to hear. Not everyone needs to know. Not everyone needs access. And not everyone deserves a seat this close to your abundance. You have learned this the hard way. There were times you shared too much, too soon, with people who saw your generosity, but not your heart. You confused openness with obligation, and balance with self-sacrifice. That lesson is complete now. What arrives in your life next is not meant to be distributed evenly. It is meant to be stewarded wisely. This isn't about becoming guarded. It's about becoming discerning. You choose where your energy flows, who you trust with your progress, who celebrates quietly instead of competing loudly. Because what comes to you now is not a repayment from specific people. It's a response from the universe itself, an energetic return. Every time you gave when no one was watching, every time you chose integrity over convenience, every time you supported someone without recognition. None of that disappeared. It compounded. And now it begins to return in ways that feel surprisingly gentle. You won't have to chase this. You won't have to explain yourself. You won't have to prove you deserve it. You will feel it settle, like solid ground beneath your feet. And with that ground comes a new responsibility, not to carry others, but to honor what you've built. To share with intention, to invest in what nourishes you, to allow yourself to receive without guilt. Receiving is not selfish, Libra. It is how balance completes its cycle. As you step into this phase, notice how your body responds. Less tension, more ease, a sense that life is no longer asking you to brace. That is your confirmation. And as these dominoes continue to fall, they lead you somewhere even quieter, even more personal, toward a feeling of home, of safety, of belonging inside your own life. That is where we are headed next. So stay present, stay grounded, and let yourself trust that what is unfolding is not random. It is a reflection of the care you have always carried within you. We are almost there. All right, let's let this settle, Libra. Because after all the movement, after the signs and the openings and the quiet returns, what remains is something very simple and very rare. Peace. Not the kind you chase, the kind that finds you when you stop running. You may notice it first in small ways. How your shoulders drop when you walk through your door. How your breath slows without effort. How silence no longer feels empty, but full. This is what home feels like for you now. Not just a place, a state. For a long time, you lived slightly out of position, always adjusting, always accommodating, always keeping the scales balanced for everyone else. But something has shifted, and now life is meeting you where you actually belong. 2026 carries that energy. The feeling of being held by your own choices, of waking up without that low hum of anxiety in your chest, of knowing where you stand and not needing to explain it. You may feel called to move, a short trip, a change of scenery, or even a deeper relocation, not to escape, but to align. And if nothing changes on the outside, something still changes within. You start to feel at home in your own body, in your own decisions, in your own rhythm. There is relief here, a long exhale, the kind you didn't realize you were holding for years. You're calmer now, not because life became perfect, but because you stopped fighting who you are. Balance returns when you include yourself in the equation, and you finally have. This is why everything feels quieter, why drama no longer calls to you, why urgency fades. You've arrived at a place of rightness, a sense that you are no longer misaligned with your own life. And when you stand here, you can see it clearly. This wasn't luck. It wasn't timing alone. It was the result of every choice you made to honor your truth. The door you sensed earlier, it wasn't outside of you. It was within you. And now it stands open. You don't have to rush through it. You don't have to prove anything. You simply step forward as yourself. That is the proof. So if something in this spoke directly to you, if you felt that quiet recognition, I invite you to stay connected. Leave a comment. Share what shifted for you. And if this space feels like home, subscribe and keep walking with me. Trust yourself, Libra. You didn't come this far by accident. The door is open. The ground beneath you is steady. And you are ready to live from the place you were always meant to stand. Stay close. This story continues. All right? Before we close this space, Libra, let this land gently. If something in you softened tonight, if you felt seen without having to explain yourself, that wasn't coincidence. That was resonance. You didn't come here to be told who to become. You came here to remember who you already are. Balanced, intuitive, quietly powerful. The door we spoke about tonight, it doesn't slam open. It waits. Patient, honoring your timing. And every time you choose honesty over habit, peace over pressure, truth over approval, you step closer to it. So if this message touched you, leave a comment below. Not for me. For another Libra who's listening in silence and needs to know they're not alone. If this space feels supportive, like somewhere you can breathe, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. We're building something steady here, a place where growth doesn't have to hurt. And above all, Libra, trust yourself. You've been learning how. The journey doesn't end here. Another message is already forming. Another layer is waiting to be revealed. Until then, stay gentle with your heart. Stay curious about what's opening. And remember, you're exactly where you need to be. I'll see you in the next message.